finances, God. Father, let us receive it so we can be better, so we can do better, Lord God. We thank you for our pastor for tonight as he teach this lesson, God. Continue, God, to bless him and allow him to stand boldly, God, and teach your word. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. I want you to answer this question, but you don't have to start shouting when I ask you. Just answer the question. That is, how much is the Powerball, or is the Mega Million? When I saw it the other day, it was above 700. It's 815 million now? Oh, I'm not going to ask you if you played it, but you know how much excitement that has created around the country? People are playing it, and I'm talking about spending a lot of money playing it, and people who don't normally play, they are playing it because it's the thought that you could hit it big. And the chances of doing that are what? 1 in millions? 1 in billions? And check this out, though. God has given us a plan that's 100% guaranteed that you can hit it. All you got to do, playing it means doing it his way, doing what he said, following his plan, and you can hit the lottery, not the Georgia, but the Jesus lottery, the God lottery. I give you power to get well. So tonight we're going to be a little bit more practical than we've been in the previous 2 studies. Got a handout for you, and you're going to complete that handout. And when I say complete it, we're going to give you some of the information here, but some of it you're going to have to do at home. And if you're married, you and your spouse need to get together. And if your spouse say, I don't want to do that, just go and do it without him or do it without her. And then when you start bawling and flexing, just remind them, you didn't want to do this. All right? And while you are passing it out, okay. I just got for this media, it was 6:34, a text says no sound online. I don't know if that was corrected or not, but to the gentleman who sent me that, if you can hear me now, if you can't hear me, text me. If you can hear me, text me. Let me know if that's changed, because we want people to be able to hear us. Now, as we prepare to go into this, let me just kind of set the stage and the tone. What sound is up now? Very good. Thank you. So the whole idea behind this book is that God has a plan for our finances. And so as we look into that plan, one of the first things that we discover is that we are stewards. And a steward is somebody who manages the property of another for the benefit and profit of the owner. And in the case of God, we're managing our money for his benefit, for his profit. And the wonderful thing is that he allows us to benefit as well. And that stewardship is built upon the biblical principle that God owns everything. And then he gives it to us, allows us to manage it. And again, he benefits, but we benefit as well. And if we are stewards, the Bible says a steward must be found faithful. We got to do this thing right. And I said to you earlier that one of the reasons we don't get it right is because the Bible says we perish for a lack of knowledge. A lot of things we don't know. And so this whole Bible study series is about fixing that, changing that, because they are simple steps. And I call them simple because for me the Bible is simple. I mean, it's simple. But there are simple things that we can do following God's instruction. And going back to that lottery analogy, we can hit it. And I'm talking about hit it big, because can't nobody bless you like the Lord now. Can't nobody do you like him. And I hope that you are reading the book, and if you're listening for the first time, it's God's plan for our finances. So what you have in your hand is the assignment. Hopefully you've been reading the book. And so you have seen 90% of what's in here in the book. And hopefully you read it, you've done some reading, and so I don't have to read it straight out the book. We can just move into it and give you the assignment. So if you look at action step 1, and I like the fact that it says action steps, because you can talk about this stuff all day, but if you don't take action, you don't do something, it doesn't matter. And the simple choice to take the action that we are going to look at tonight can change your life and the life of your family for generations. And so the first action step is to determine your net worth, and I've got a deadline by August 30th. Sit down and finish and figure out what your net worth is by August 30th. The Bible says in Proverbs 27:23, be sure to know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. In biblical days, a person's wealth was in livestock. It was in the sheep, the cattle, the goats, and whatever else they had in the herd. They didn't have cash money. And so what this text says is you got to know the condition. How many you got? What kind of shape are they in? You know, what resources do you have to take care of? And so that's the principle. And so you got to start with your net worth. And so I need somebody to tell me what I mean by determining your net worth. All right, I got a hand in the back right there. I don't have any mic people tonight. Or we short-handed, so I need a volunteer so that Brother Crutchfield don't have to run, do the cameras, and then run with the mics. All right. All right. Yes, sir. Oh, Patricia, give the gentleman on the end. He said, right. All right. What is net worth?
Good evening. Your net worth is really a compilation of all the valuable things that you own. It could be your bank account. It could be your 401k at work. It could be any real estate you own, minus what you owe on it. In other words, the equity in the real estate. It could be, you know, if you got enough jewelry and all other personal belongings. Usually some say it should be included, some say it shouldn't. But it is the net of all you own minus the liabilities you have against it. You may have a yard full of cars, but if you got loans on all of them, you got to figure out the difference in what you owe versus what you actually have as ownership in it based on what it's worth.
Absolutely. Point on. What's the benefit of knowing your net worth? Somebody tell me that. Why is it important that you know what your net worth is? Anybody? All right, I got a hand here. All right. Trying to see if you've been reading.
It's kind of like it's like your status. You have to know where you are in order to know where you're going. So if you don't have a good understanding of your worth, what you have, your all of your assets minus your liability, you just out here, you don't know which direction to go.
Absolutely. Point on. Y'all familiar with the GPS, right? So I put in, I want to go to Thomasville. What has to happen before it can take me to Thomasville? It has to know my current location. Got to have a starting point. Has to know where you are. And it's the same. If you're going to create wealth, if you're going to get yourself in a position to wherever it is that vision is, you got to know what the starting point is. And when you see that, it gives direction to what we're going to do later on, like the budget and the plan. You know where you are. And it, you know, the average black person, their net worth is less than $35,000. And then our other friends, whites, Asians, even the Hispanics' net worth, they've come in the country and they've exceeded us. And a lot of times we got a lot of stuff, but the stuff is mortgaged. Even the clothes, even the shoes, which is not an asset, but it's a liability because you charged it and it's on your credit card. And so we got to change that. You got to change that. All right. And so your job now is to, by the 30th of August, determine your net worth. You got it? I might call you and say, what is it? All right. And then action step number 2, and we talked about it. You need to put a budget together, and your net worth will influence how that budget is built. Because you're going to know what you have coming in, know what you're going out, know what your liabilities, know what your assets are. And then, like, you know, if I want more assets, then as I do my budget, I'm going to do that. If my debt is out of whack, then I know I need to do that. And even as we go a little bit deeper, down further, where are you going to send your money? Like I told you last week, all your money ought to have a name on it. Put a name on it. Where is it going? And so that's what that budget is for. And I'm running through this because we're going to spend a little bit more time on some other stuff later. So everybody got the budget? All right. Y'all not saying anything, but I'm going to be a fly on the wall. I want to see that budget and put everything on there. Everything. Some of that hidden stuff you got, put it on there. All right, action step number 3. So we got the budget, you got your net worth, and so what are you going to plan to do first? And that is to attack that debt. So you're going to develop a plan to reduce, eliminate the debt by the 4th of September. I'm not saying you're going to be debt-free by September, but I'm saying you got to have a plan in place to know how you're going to eliminate the debt. Do you know what the Bible says about the debt? That the borrower is slave to the lender. Do you know who gets wealthy off of your debt? The lender. Your debt makes somebody else rich. And think about this. Who has a savings account at a bank? You know how much interest that saving account pay? How much interest does that same bank charge you for your credit card? How much? 14, 15%. And guess who money collateralized that credit card? Yours. They are paying you 0.25, 0.5 on the card and charging you 14, 18, depending on your credit, 20, 25% on your own money. And so debt makes you poor and the lender rich. And so what you want to do is aggressively get out of debt. And let me tell you something. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I believe some things are just true. And one of those things is that there are certain entities in the lending business that target poor and minority communities and make money available to you. And you are paying triple in interest and fees what other people pay. And it's designed that way to keep you struggling. And so we're going to eliminate the debt. Somebody tell me, I want 3 responses, a plan, a way to get out of debt. Anybody? All right, got a hand in the back. If you're going to speak next, raise your hand and we'll have a mic all ready for you. All right?
Okay, for me personally, Pastor, what I would do, number 1, is if I had any credit cards, I would try to eliminate that debt, and I would start with the card that has the most interest first and kind of work my way down because that's the one that's costing me, the most money. In addition to that, I would stop buying, stop spending, because it's not going to help me to try to eliminate debt if I'm going to continue to put, purchases on that credit card. Absolutely. So that's what I would start there with the credit cards.
Absolutely. That is brilliant. Again, we perish for the lack of knowledge, so you just got some knowledge there. Get those credit cards. And you're starting with the one that she said with the highest interest because it's costing you the most. And then stop spending. I know several churches where the pastor preached a sermon about eliminating debt, and then members came to the altar, not for prayer, but to cut the credit cards up. They had scissors on the altar, and they said, okay, you keep one, because you got to use them if you're online, if you're traveling, but those of you that got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they literally brought those cards to the altar, and they cut them up and made a pledge not to call the card company when they got back home and say, my card is damaged, send me another one. All right, somebody give us another strategy for getting out of debt. Yes, ma'am.
Do not do cash advance or payday loans.
Stay away from cash advance and payday loans.
There's a lot of put your title up for your car in our communities. Don't do it. Don't sell your title to get quick cash. I notice a lot of people doing that. If your car paid for, it's paid for.
Yeah.
Let it stay paid for.
What do y'all think the interest rate is on these title pawn places?
29.9, I think.
Yeah. When they get through with the interest and the fees, you're paying about 50% or more. But again, you're being targeted. And I'm talking, let me look in the camera, and I'm talking to people who are saying to me, but Pastor Simmons, y'all talking because y'all got it like that. But there are days, there are months when my back is against the wall, and if I don't pawn this title, my lights are going off. I'm not going to be able to feed my children. And I get that, but what we are saying is, let's find another way. If that's what you had to do this month, let's get that title back, and let's find a way to never do that again. I want the day to come we ride down the streets and those places are closed because they're not getting our business. I saw another hand. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I would kind of piggyback off of what she said, but instead of taking the credit card with the highest, I would take the one with the lowest. Pay that one off first, and say you were paying like $100 a month. Mm-hmm. So that $100 that you was paying on the card with the lowest, then you will take your next highest and double that.
All right. So we got another plan. And again, all of them right because it works for different people. And so what this one does, you get your lowest. You pay it off. You feel good. You got something to celebrate. And you were paying $100 a month on this one. And the next lowest you were paying $50. And now you put that $100, you're paying $150. And then, you just keep doing it and they're gone. All right, let me get one more, and then we're going to move to the next action step, and you can answer on that one. Yes, sir.
Buy here and pay here, car businesses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all of those are bad. They are charging you more than anywhere else. I've told Mount Zion members this before. I worked with a man who was a former car dealer, car salesman, and when once we got to be friends and he was comfortable, he had black people questions. Why black people this? Why black people have Martin Luther King, John Kennedy, and what other picture we have on the wall? His brother. Why black people have them 3 pictures on the wall? And then he said, Daniel, you know what? When black people came to buy cars, they didn't want to know but one thing, and that's how much the note going to be a month. They didn't care about the total cost of the car. And so, Daniel, we just ripped them off. Because all they want to know, how much my monthly payments. That's the worst way to buy a car based on the month. You didn't look at the total cost. All right? So, let's move on now. So, y'all going to do that? We're going to be debt-free. I've said many times, I don't want to be a church collectively that prosper. The church is doing well, and the members are not. Your church is debt-free. I want the members to be debt-free. Anybody in here in college? Okay. So none of y'all got in college, but I know a couple of you, you got some children here in college. Put your hand around their neck and tell them, when you get those credit card offers in the mail, when they come to your room, your dorm, or your class, do not open one. If you do, I'm going to choke you out. Do not let them get them. I forbid mine. I told them I wouldn't feed you, I wouldn't own you if you got one. And they graduated with no credit card debt. So, and so here is the next one. Set a goal to practice the 10-20-70 plan. Let me check to see if you've been reading. What's the 10-20-70 plan? I reversed it. The way in the book is 7-20-10, I think. But so what's the 10? All right, 10-20-70.
10% is your tithe right off the top. 20% is what you should be investing and saving, and 70% of your income is what you should learn to live off of, which would increase your 20% to 30% or either 35%.
That's it in a nutshell. And that sounds hard because you said, Pastor Simmons, I can't live out of the 100. But what this book teaches, what the Bible teaches, is that we should live on less than we make. And by live, I mean we shouldn't be consuming it. I preached a sermon a while back. When you get something, God says this is food for the eater and seed for the sower. Everything you got is not to be consumed. If when you get through paying your bills, all your money gone, you are out of line with God's will. You are never to have your lifestyle so that you are living off 100%. Well, Pastor, I don't make much. Then your living ought to be commensurate with what you make. I shouldn't be driving a Mercedes if I got Toyota Camry money. I don't need to have a Gucci, Prada bag, belt, shoes, and I ain't got Gucci, Prada money. If my money is Ross money, TJ Maxx money, and that's where mine is, that's where I'm going. And so, live where you are. And you say you can't live, off a little bit. But somebody else in here can attest to this. Our mothers and our grandmothers got to retirement, right? And they started getting their Social Security, and if they had a job, it wasn't much. And some of them, I know for sure, their Social Security check is less than $1,000 a month. And here's the ironic thing. Y'all borrowing money from them. So you can live off of whatever you make. So the 70 is what you live out of. And Uncle Sam going to get his taxes out of that. And then there's the 20% for savings and investing. And then there's the 10% for giving. How many of y'all think that's too hard? Anybody think that's impossible? All right, well, I won't stay on it. But let me tell you something. I promise you, I'm like the boys on the corner. I swear on everything I got. I just swear to God now. I swear on my mama. Look, if you do that and you give yourself time, because it may be hard at first, but over time, that thing balance out. Where living off the 70 is good, and you are eliminating debt, what she said is true. The debt is gone. Now you got more discretionary money, so you shift another 10% to saving and investing, or you do 5% in savings and investing, another 5% in giving. You got the discretion to put it where you want, and you'll see your wealth growing, that net worth. Because see, the goal is to grow your net worth. Not to just grow your income, but grow your net worth. And the 70, 20-10 gives you the capacity to do that. And you just keep piling on. Exercise, discipline. Y'all ever heard of income creep or lifestyle creep? And that's a phrase, lifestyle creep means the more money I make, the higher I live. Yeah. You were living off that paycheck, you were making $30,000 a year. Oh, I got a new job. And you've gone from 30 to 60 like that. And you were living off 30 before, but now you're living off 60. If I were you, I'd take that whole 30. I live where I was at the same level, at least for a year, to help myself. All right now. Y'all, I'm going to be checking. I'm going to come to your house and say, show it to me. Let me see it. All right. All right, let's go. Learn where to save and to invest your 20%. Again, that lack of knowledge piece, so you got the 20%, what you're going to do with it. And so I got some questions to help you decide, and you're going to help me the rest of the way. And this is where I want to spend the rest of our time. All right, we got 30 more minutes. So, first thing, what's the difference between saving and investing? Yes? The amount of risk involved. All right. The amount of risk involved. Anybody else? The difference between savings and investing. All right. Got two young ladies here. And all right.
If you're saving your money, you're not really growing your money, as opposed to investing, because you're creating multiple streams of ways to continue your money.
So the return on saving is less than the investing. Yes.
You have a certain amount of money allocated already, and then investing is where your money is working for you.
Okay. All right. Now, she just said something that's real critical. All of you did. So we know that savings, you're not going to make as much. The risk is not as high. It's safe. And that savings, and we're going to talk about in a minute where you put it, but it's short term. And you may need it for an emergency or something else, and you want to be able to go get it. And when you go get it, at least you're going to have your principal. Because depending on the day, when you go at the investment, it may be up or down. What would you do if you looked at your portfolio and you lost $250,000 in one day? You cried. That's it. Yeah. And I really ask you that. I had a friend in 2008. He called me, and that's what had happened. He lost about $250,000 in one day. And on the news, they said, "Oh, it's gonna get worse." And he said, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "I'm staying where I am, and I'm putting more in." And he got nervous and scared, and he took it all out. And then it went back up, and he's been crying ever since. Yeah. And so you want the savings in place, all right? So, number 2, what are the best instruments to use for the short-term savings? And that's any money 3 to 5 years. And again, it may be an emergency plan. You may be planning to buy a house, a car, somewhere. But where do you put that 3 to 5 year money? And see if what you're doing, you may know, but maybe somebody in here don't know. So got a hand up front? Okay, all right.
Certificates of deposit.
All right. Certificates of deposits. For short term. And with a certificate of deposit, how many know what that is? Okay. All right. A certificate of deposit is when you go to a bank and the bank will say, "Give me your money for 12 months and I'll pay you 3%, guaranteed."
So they got a 9-month 4% now, and they got a 6-month 3.75. Oh, that they.
Okay. Yeah. And I was just saying 3 as an example, and so they promise you, if you let it stay there for the 12 months, that's the rate that they pay, and that's guaranteed. Now, here's the downside. You got to know that it got to be money that can stay there for 12 months, Because if you get it early, it's a penalty for what? For early withdrawal. But it's safe. And she mentioned 9 months. You can get it for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But it's a safe place to put money that, 3 to 5 years you're going to need it. But you don't want it just sitting in a savings account drawing little to nothing. So the certificate of deposit is one. What's another? A money market account. What is a money market account? Is it you go to the grocery store to the market and get them?
It's been a minute, but the money market account, I think, is a little more aggressive than with the CD, but they still have the same penalty if you do the early withdrawal on the money.
Okay. And anybody else want to say anything about a money market? I don't. Anybody else got anything on the money market account?
The bank and money market account, they want you to put like $100,000 in the market and then they want you to spend so much more money a month, in a year. So I was really confused with this. So I'm glad you're teaching this because that I needed to know.
Yeah. And see, now again, I don't know it all, but I don't know a money market where they make you spend. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. And then the minimum is 100. That must have been some. And they do have them that start at 100. And so you can, but you can get them for less than 100. Here is the key, and why the bank want to give you more money. In your regular checking account, you can write as many checks as you want, right? Well, in the money market account, you are limited to the checks you can write, and the hopes is you don't spend as much money, and that money is there. And if you do write more, usually 6, they're going to charge you a fee, and they make a lot of money on fees, but they pay you higher interest because the assumption that they make, if you are putting money in a money market account, you can let it sit there. It ain't your everyday money. Somebody else.
At all times. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There's a balance that you must keep at all times
Okay.
as well. You can't go below that.
All
You're
right.
also penalized.
Yeah, and so what I want to say to you is the game has changed. If you shop around, there are banks. Y'all heard of FinTech Bank? All right, and so, and they're my favorites. It is an online bank. It's not brick and mortar. And those banks have higher rates because the expense of a building they don't have. And it's usually attached to a brick and mortar. But they operate with low expenses. They pay you higher rent. And there's no minimum. You can have $5 in there if you get the right one. But they are, yeah. All right. So one other place. Where do you put your money if you don't need it right away, short term? All right. Now, somebody talk to me. Give it a mic, please, so she can say that so everybody can hear. And we're going to have a little debate here.
You put your money in stocks, but you separate it. You separate how much that you can afford to spend for the long term and then things that you're going to be looking at yourself for trading.
Okay. So if you're not an everyday trader, there are some people that trade stocks. Are you comfortable putting money in the stock market you may need in 2 years, 3 years? No. Okay. Because, and people have different risk factors, and I am not. I'm risk averse. Because the day I want it, it may be down. I need to know it's going to be there. All right. And so we've given you a few. And so what you want to do, one is you're looking for a higher interest rate. 2 is you're looking for no fees minimum fees. They'll tear your head up on the fees. Yeah, and so you want to stay away from that, and you want to try to have something, that's safe. And going back to the comment earlier, and for the money you're putting in the CDs and these money markets, you don't want to put too much in your money in there until you get that emergency fund. Because you don't tie money up in a CD, then the refrigerator break down. And now you got to pull it out, get the penalty. And so have that emergency fund. How much money do you think you ought to have? And if you don't call it an emergency fund, people call them different things. But how much money would you be comfortable having in that before you start locking money up? Somebody in this center here. How much money would you be comfortable having? Yes.
I would say starting out, it might be on the low end, but $1,000 until you can start building it up.
Yeah. That is good. You can start right there with 1,000. Because here's the truth. There are so many people who don't have $1,000 right now that if they had to get it tonight, they could get it. Sometimes we take that for granted, but there are people who can't. And you know what? I've been there like that. So I clearly get it. Y'all hear me? I couldn't have gone to a bank and get $1,000, unless I robbed it. So stick them up. But yeah. And so you start and you just, and here's the rule. Again, people's are different, but you know what your lifestyle is. You know the condition of your stuff. Again, knowing what you got. So if I got a new car that's under warranty, I don't need as much money in the fund preparing for the car to break down because it's under warranty. But if it's like the one I got now, I got 124,000 miles on it, and ain't no warranty nowhere. So if that bad boy break down, that's 100% on me. And so I'm going to have a little bit more because it break down. And then it's the kind of car you got, kind of house you got, kind of. It's all that. And so get it. And then shop around for where you put it. Banks. Talk about CDs. These investment firms like Edward Jones and Schwab and Vanguard is my favorite in the whole wide world. I love them. They sell CDs and they don't charge it. And they have a higher interest rate than most banks. But shop around. So y'all know where to put that money, right? Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be a good rule of thumb for someone starting out? I know the $1,000, but somebody who already I was taught that you should have at least 3 months worth of your bills in your emergency fund.
And that is a good rule. But the idea is, somebody starting out, that's something you grow to.
Yeah, but I'm saying we need, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody's at the same level.
Yeah.
You have some people who might be past $1,000. So, I don't want them going out buying Gucci, Fiorucci, and all that stuff. I want them to, aim for the 3 months. At least aim for the 3 months.
Yeah.
I think, Pastor, oops, sorry.
Yes, Harry.
I think we should also have a discussion about risk. We throw it in there, but really, what are we talking about? If I'm young, 20-year-old, I got a decent job that I'm at, maybe a career job, because I'm healthy, because I'm in a safe job market, I know I'm going to live or work for about 40, 50 years. I probably can take more risk at 20, 25 than I can at 60, 65.
Absolutely.
So we need to make sure we understand what can you afford to lose depending on your age, depending on the job market, depending on your job itself.
Right. Everybody understand what he just said? Absolutely. There are things that, as he said, that young people in here that y'all ought to be doing, that people our age, we're not going to touch that. All right. So let's go down to the next one. So number 3, what are the best instruments to use for that long-term money? It's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20. Where do you put that? All right, yes, sir.
That's another good investment instrument is buying treasury bonds. You know, a lot of times we think that we can't do that, but it's simple. Anybody can go on there and buy treasury bonds.
All right. So for this long-term money, you get your treasury bond. Y'all know what a treasury bond is? It's a bond sold by the government. And so it's backed by the government. And so more than likely, you're going to always get your money back. The country's not going bankrupt. So get you a treasury bond. And the U.S. Treasury has a website that you can go to. Where else do you put that long-term money? Yes, ma'am. Look at you. I see you, girl. How you doing?
I would say stocks, which I know we talked about like day trading in number 2, but I would say stocks for long term also.
Okay. Now, do you do individual stocks or you doing mutual funds?
Mostly mutual funds.
Okay.
Mostly.
All right. So y'all know the difference between the individual stocks and the mutual funds? That's a yes? Okay then. All right. You know, she said mostly, which means she will delve in a single stock. At my age and my risk tolerance, I am not buying a single stock. But now for somebody else, because, you know, I got other family members that they don't touch mutual funds. They just like, they think they can pick them. I can't pick them. All right, so where else do you put that long-term money?
Okay, you can also use certain banks, like just give an example of a bank like Navy Federal. They have an instrument called Digital Investor, and so you can put money in that, and you can decide how you want to allocate your funds and how you want to diversify, or you can have them to do it for you. And I kind of started that maybe a year and a half, probably not even that long, and I could really see a little money really growing quickly.
All right. And I was going to ask you about something you just said. You answered it. Because, see, some people think, oh, I need a lot of money. But with that system that Navy Federal has, you don't need a lot of money. You put in a little bit of money.
Yes. I started probably with 500, and then I saw, whoa, 750. And then, you know, when I do my direct deposits, I have some money going to them, and I don't really touch that bank at all. And it's not local, so that's good, too. And then another couple of paychecks, oh, put in another 500.
Yeah.
And I kept doing that, and that's been over a year, so it's in the 5 digits now.
All right. Something else she said I think is essential. She said it comes out of a check, she never see it. There's a gentleman that wrote a book called An Automatic Millionaire. And the simple principle behind the book was set all your investments up on that automatic contribution so it never hits your hand soon out of that check to wherever you are sending it. And the same with the debt. So you ain't got to, you know, I think I'll skip it this month. Yes?
For those who can afford it, gold.
Gold. All right. And excellent investment. All right. Where else do you put that long-term money? Real estate. And I got a question and I'm asking y'all, how much do you know about investing in real estate? Let me ask another question. Where is your money? Where do you have it now, your long-term money? We're not talking, and I'm not asking you to tell me how much, but, you know, all right, yeah, just, because somebody need to hear you so they'll know that we're not just talking theoretical.
In all the above, in growth stocks, mutual funds, in real estate, in CDs, and it's based on my risk tolerance. When I talk to folk, everybody has an interest in getting rich, but you don't want to take risk. And age is not just specific, because there are folk one of the things that I have to do is say, if I've got money anywhere and I can't sleep at night because I have it there, then I need to get that away from there and have it in a place where it is growing, reinvesting the dividends, making money, make money. Yes, and then that is what the distribution of any assets that I have, the goal is to make sure I've got it all covered, because when one section fails or decrease, the others will increase. The compensation of one, stocks, bonds, real estate, and all. And I've taken too much time.
Yeah, hold the mic. And the Bible says that we ought to diversify. Don't put all your money in one basket, essentially, but try it. So you said something that I want you to just talk about for a minute, make sure everybody got it. You said you reinvest the dividends.
Yes,
Talk to us about the power of compounding with those reinvested dividends.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Compounding to me is just, well, by definition, is money that is making money. You're not taking it out, but it's automatically being reinvested. Say if you got $100 and you get 10% dividends or whatever, instead of receiving it myself, reinvest it in that asset that I have, and over a period of time, I'm looking at the rule of 72 in all of this, where money will double by just reinvesting the dividends and compounding over 72 months based on the interest rate. Let me just do it simple here.
Okay.
If you're getting 10% of dividend interest and you don't take it out, in 7 years and 2 months, that money will automatically double without you putting any money into it other than reinvesting the dividends or the interest paid.
Absolutely. All right, my next question. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, for me, as far as where I have my funds at, I have a little bit in savings. I got a little bit more in checking, and I got a lot more in traditional and Roth IRA for long term. And it's good to have a diversified portfolio, like you had already said, because if one stock is down, then the other one will be up. You don't ever want to put all your eggs into one basket. And as far as tax purposes, the Roth IRA is very good because you only pay taxes on that once you withdraw the money out. You know, with the traditional, once you draw the money out, but with the Roth, you pay taxes pre-tax. So once you draw the money out, then, you know, you don't have to pay any taxes on that. And you asked the question earlier about what we would do if we lost $250,000 in a day. I wouldn't do anything because, first of all, the stock market is, you know, volatile. It's up and it's down. And I know eventually that money going to come right back up again, so I don't need to sit there and worry and watch the stock, you know, every day like a lot of people get obsessed with it. And then they get really stressed out when they see they've lost money. But I don't really worry about it because it's eventually going to come back up anyway.
Reversion to the mean. That's the principle. All right, we got about 10 minutes, so let me, and Penny, you've already answered some of it. But listen, if you got a child that you're saving up some money for them to go to college, where do you put it? $529. You put it, there it is right there. And what's a 529? Everybody know what a 529 is? All right. It's a college fund, but there's some tax advantages to it. So what are the tax advantages on it? Tax advantage is the money grows without you having to pay tax. One of the things that you need to understand is the tax code, taxes. That's your biggest expense. And people say, well, your housing is the biggest. It is not. Taxes, federal tax, state tax, sales tax, ad valorem tax, tax on everything. And then they have these, I call them backdoor taxes. If you want to add on to your house, you got to buy a permit. Tax, you know. And so you want to know. But that money in the 529 plan, it grows tax-free as long as you use it for college. And then there's another benefit for it. And well, two more that I mentioned. And one, she said, and that is you can transfer it. So if a child decides not to go to school, they don't use it all, you transfer it to another relative. But here's another one. And I think it's one of the best things going for it. So let's say you save it, the money, and your child don't use it all for college or decide not to go to college at all. Guess what you can do? You can transfer that money into a Roth IRA. You paid no taxes while it was growing. And now you put it in another instrument, the Roth IRA, and now the child has, 18, 19, already got all that money in a Roth retirement account. Yeah. All right. Does the term UTMA mean anything to y'all? UTMA, U-T, Uniform Trust and Minors Act. Anybody heard of that? So let's say you got a child and you put as much money in the 529, or you don't want to put in that all, they're not going to college. But you want to give them something, but you don't want them to have access to it. And so if the child is a minor, you can put the money, you can open up, and it's a trust account that you control. And it grows, and you can say, I'm going to give it to my child at 18. I'm going to let them get it when they're 30. And it's their money, but it's locked up where they can't get it until you get ready for them to get it. And it can be used for anything. The term is up, but Uniform Trust to Minors Act. And they got two of them, and it depends on the age you want the child to get the money. Where would you put your retirement savings? And we've heard Roth and we've heard traditional RA. Where else do you put your retirement money? Yes, sir. Let me start back there.
Okay.
Since you're looking for safety at the retirement age, and there are a number of options, just some of the things we started out with, CDs and that type thing. But for the most part, you can still utilize mutual funds with some of the same concepts that the deacon mentioned earlier. Reinvesting dividends and et cetera, as long as it's not risky, based on your risk tolerance. And just because you're old, and I think that's what the deacon was alluding to, that does not mean that you have a real low risk tolerance if you have enough funds to cover you with losses. So you diversify your holdings. And real estate is a safe place as well. Yeah, that's a lifetime investment where it's going to generate you income, especially if you have it paid off for your lifetime as well as your children's lifetime. So that's a relatively safe place, and the mutual funds are well diversified by professionals. And when you talk about diversification, you're diversified from industry to industry, from region of the country to region of the country, state of the state, state to state, and even country to country. So that knowledge of diversifying and putting in the right mix of stocks is taken care of for you by the money managers. So those are some of the places you can put it. Okay. Some are not advised, but I think what we do is kind of bend the rules a little bit.
All right. Yes, sir.
So I was just going to say, for federal employees, there's the TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan. And that's kind of a different type of IRA, whereas you putting your money in is growing just like any other mutual fund. But the bigger point about that is up to 5%, the government's going to match your payment, which is, I think, better than most other organizations or governments. So that's just money on top of money just for you for that 5%.
Absolutely.
And the more you put in, they have a max of about 33,000 that you can put in, and as you get older or higher rank, whatever, you're putting in close to that max. So when you retire, you got this. I mean, they have TSP millionaires now, people who make millions off of government salaries, which was unheard of 50 years ago. So.
Absolutely. And that wrap up, yes, sir.
There's this thing called online brokerage account. I manage my resources. I don't have people telling me what to do. I tell them how to execute it. But I manage those accounts, and I've got great-grandchildren, custodian accounts. As a matter of fact, about to have another great-grand, and all I need is a Social Security number. I go online. I dictate to the Charles Schwab and all of that how I'm going to establish it and how I'm going to fund it. And I'm in control of all of this. All they do is execute, and my resources are liquid. I'm not going to have a need that I don't have resources to cover. It's just a matter of going online and wire-to-wire transfer into accounts and things. So all of these are available, and ain't none of this hard.
Right. And yeah, what I was going to say, you educated yourself so that you can do that. And anybody can educate themselves. All right, yes, ma'am.
Yes, I just had one quick comment, and it's kind of like what he said. I've been investing a long time without the knowledge of knowing how to invest, just automatic. And I've tried. I've read books. I've done just about everything. My kids have college savings. I have Charles Schwab. I have several things, but for some of us, I don't know, anybody might be like me, I just give them my money and let them manage it and just watch the little circle that tell my portfolio, and I'm just looking for capital gains. But it is good to know and be more knowledgeable. But I tried it like on my own. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not ready for that step yet. So, but I'm enjoying this because I am gaining more knowledge of how my money is making money. And I would like to be able to get to that step, but it is scary because you don't want to lose your money, even though it dips and go down. But I just put my money auto and just let them do it. But I want to get to that level. So if he's willing to show us, I would be greatly, it would be greatly appreciated.
He's willing, and I'm going to say something in a minute for all of us to be willing. And I couldn't think of his first name. I was trying to find it. The founder of Vanguard, his last name is Vogel. And I couldn't think if it was Peter or John. But Google Vanguard's founder, his last name, and just, you can find him on YouTube with investment tips and that kind of thing. And he does, his belief was that you don't need a broker to invest, that anybody can learn to invest on themselves. And so he founded Vanguard, and you can invest. You can get a broker if you want, but they let you invest without it. So you can just learn. But what I'm going to say is all of this is learnable. And there's a lot that we didn't even touch on tonight that's out there. And we don't want to perish because of a lack of knowledge. And so this is what I'm going to ask of you. As you complete your assignment, you've heard people talking, and there's some people in here you know. Don't try to do it all by yourself. Ask somebody to partner with you. And you ain't got to disclose all of your business. But, you know, some guiding principles, you know. So how do I do a budget? And you say you had custodial accounts. What's those? And I want to set up one, and I want to do this. And just talk through it. Because none of us are equipped to know it all, and we can all learn from each other. So find you somebody. Again, I'm not saying, give them all your information, let them know how much you got. but enough general information to get some help. Because again, all it takes is a decision to make something happen. And I'm going to say something, and y'all, and it ain't one person, got an idea what I'm talking about, but I'm not talking about you, but you just make me think about it. So even if you don't have anything, you need to just start learning for when you get it. Because what happens if one day, for some reason, you get this inheritance, and now you got all of this money, and your net worth goes from, $20 to $2 million. I ain't talking about your income, your net worth. What do you do with that? Well, there are some people out there waiting to take it from you. They know you got it, and they coming for it. And they won't stop until they get it. And they ain't crooks. It ain't the boys on the corner might stick them up. They in suits. It's called fees, investment fees. It's called family. Let me hold something. It's called friends and lovers. Yeah, and you look around your friends and lovers and family and these fees with all you perfect. You look around, your money be gone. Yes.
So my question is, let's say, like you said, you get 2 million or 20 million. Who do you call to trust, because now you're in a different income bracket, and so you don't want to have all the money then to turn around to lose it all in taxes because you don't know what the tax codes are or who you need to trust. So should you reach out to an investment company or?
This is Daniel Simmons talking. I wouldn't reach out to anybody that gonna get paid for giving me advice. Because here's what they're gonna do. Their advice is gonna benefit them. Buy this stock. And what I'm not telling you is I'm getting paid a commission for having you to buy that stock. And it's not because it's in your best interest, it's because it's in mine. You're gonna say, I need a tax attorney. Well, I'm gonna send you to my friend. And my friend gonna give me a kickback. Find you somebody who ain't selling nothing. And ain't gonna get none of your money, and you start with them. And that can be a friend. You search around. It can be just somebody you trust. Person that helped me on the way, I used to work for vocational rehabilitation, and this family had a son who was autistic. And I was, fairly decent at what I did. I took care of their son real good, and he made a lot of progress. And he said, Daniel, appreciate you. Anything I can ever do for you, let me know. Well, he was a very renowned, well-known CPA. I said, I do need some help with my money. I don't know this, I don't know that. And so he taught me a lot, but never charged me a dime. Never told me what to do, but just explain. So, get somebody like that that has nothing to gain. And stay away from them pyramid schemes and get rich quick kind of folk. They have your money and be gone. So, yeah, just do that. And let me say this to you. That's why you have to, we talk about diversity, have diversity in the people you hang with. Because, see, I just said, find you somebody who understands. Who knows. Some of us, our friends don't know nothing. They don't know anything. And so find people to be friends with that know something that you don't know. And that way you got relationship, you got trust, and in your immediate circle, you all got it. Yes, and after you, I'm going to make one other comment and we'll wrap up.
Okay, we were talking about people who get these inheritance and losing the money. Do you know that most people of color who hit the lottery and stuff like that are broke within a year?
Yeah.
They broke within a year.
And the non-color too. Hold on.
But I'm saying they broke within a year because they don't have a plan to how they're going to do it. So have a plan before you say anything to anybody. Plan for yourself what you want to accomplish. Like
All
you're
right.
saying, have a plan for our lives, how we're going to save and invest it. You got to have a plan for everything. And seek
All
God
right.
first. Seek God first.
With that, what you just said, and what's been said here all tonight, for us being here and us watching on the live stream, we got a mindset that we want to change our lives. Ain't nobody in here, ain't nobody that's watching that's bad with money. We just need to develop a plan that works for us.
Right. All right. Three things to say. First, we didn't talk about it, but how much do you know about real estate investing? How much do you know about creating wealth as an entrepreneur or business owner? Because those are ways to do it as well, and there are many other ways for retirement. We just scratched the surface, and what you got to do now is leave here and start doing the research and learning. All right, so that you can grow it. Second thing I want to say is this: as you do this, always have in the front of your mind that this is not just for you. This is for generations. This is for your children and your children's children. This is for your community. And while you are investing and getting knowledge about the money, at the same time, you are preparing your children and your children's children to be good stewards when they get it. Yeah. Now, nobody in here got this problem, but I had a relative, and I begged them, because they had one child, and the one child was spoiled, and I don't know if it was a spoil, but they was just irresponsible in every way. And all of their lives, when they were living, his mom and dad had just bailed them out one at a time. And so the husband died, and then she was leaving everything she had to him. And I said, you're making a mistake. At least put it in a trust. And when he get himself together, he can get it, because I promise you he's going to lose it all. But she loved him. And so she left it all to him. Hundreds of acres of land that had been in their family for generations. It started with selling the timber off of it. And then after he went through all the timber money, he sold the land. And then all of the cash, and this was no poor family, gone. And there was absolutely nothing to show. He was for the streets, and the streets got his money. So if you ain't preparing your children and your children's children, that's what's going to happen to it. So get them ready while you invest in. The third thing is the most important thing I'll say tonight. We didn't talk about that 10%. I told you live off the, off the 70, you got the 20 saving, investing, and here's the foundation. You got to be generous toward God. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a preacher, because I want you to give it to Mount Zion, but I'm saying it because I know it's true. And you talk about return on your investment. We talked about the rule of 72 and doubling your money. Can't nobody double or triple your money like God. And I preached yesterday from Luke 6:38, give, and it shall be given to you. Good measure, shaken up, pressed down, running over shall men give unto your bosom. And then catch that last phrase, the last part of it. You will receive based on the measure you give. The measure that you give is what will determine the measure you get back. So you can't lose by being generous toward God with that 10. And y'all shaking your head. But let me tell you what I'm going to do Sunday. When y'all come to church Sunday, on the screens, we're going to roll all Mount Zion members' names and what they are paying. And we're going to show you. The members be nodding head and shouting. They shouting on credit. Well, we're just going to roll the names. It's going to be people mad at me. They're going to be cursing me and throwing. They're going to want to put me out. I'm just joking. I would never do that. But you know, God sees it, and that's enough. But I would never put anybody on blast like that, so y'all don't have to worry. I'm not going to ask you for your W-2s. None of that kind of stuff. We don't play that at Mount Zion. But seriously, your own conscience ought to drive that. Thank y'all very much for being here tonight. Thank you for watching. And again, don't just be hearers of the word, but doers. Doing these things we talked about tonight will change your future and the future of your family. Y'all be blessed, and we'll see you Sunday as we worship the Lord together.